Let's honor the Creator with the Shema Yisrael. Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echadu, Ahavatayat Yahweh Eloheka, Nedivokol Levavika, Uvakol Nafshika, Uvakol Meodika. Which is to say, listen, Israel, and hear and obey. The Yahweh is our Elohim, that he is one. And we are to love Yahweh, our Elohim, with all of our heart, with all of our soul, and with all of our strength. We thank him so much for being our Elohim. He chose us, Yah chose us to be his people. And, we can't, we got to feel good about that. If you got to feel good about something. And I think we need to feel good about that. I thank you guys for being on the class. Take little bits and pieces of everything we have. We're not trying to master the Hebrew language where we're going out there and talking to other people, because we don't have nobody but to talk to but ourselves and the Creator about this language. But we're getting some understanding. And I think that's the most beautiful part of learning, is that we're able to grow from what we're learning. Okay. So as you notice, over the last couple of weeks of our Hebrew studies, we have noticed that it says that Wayomer, okay, this is always Yah speaking, okay. Verse number 24, we're on the 6th day. And I told you I'm going to bring some certain things out in this that you've probably never seen before, okay. 6th day is one of the greatest days of creation, in my opinion, not only because man was created on it, but also too that the Creator begins to tell us on how man was created and how did it come in his mind. So he says, Wayomer, and he said Elohim, Totse. Totse means to come out. Let go forth, okay? Let go forth the earth, the nefesh of the creatures, the kaya, okay? Today we had a little bit of a talk about the kaya. Sounds like haya, but it's kaya, okay? Kaya, okay? Or I think it's a kaya, yeah, kaya. So kaya, as you can see right there, kai means life. And then you can see here of Yah. Everything on the face of this earth, every nefesh, they got here creature, but a nefesh is a soul. Okay. As we discussed earlier, all living things have a soul, and all living things come from Yah. Okay. And every living thing is going to come according to its kind. The lemina, okay. What word did I want to teach you here? Then he mentions the animals that you and I talked about today, which is called the Bahema. I'm kind of transliterating this. I just put ba here because of these two dots are underneath that bet right there. And this a real quick ba and then hema. Bahema. A bahema is anything is a livestock, like an ox, any domesticated animal. Okay, anything that is used in a domestic way. The kayas are different. These are the ones who are more what you would call independent. Okay, they're the hunters. Okay, and then here the livestock are the ones who are not independent. They're dependent, and they work in cooperation. Okay, with man. Okay, these work independently of man. These work in cooperation. This is the reason why Yahweh had asked us not to eat these animals, which are the kaya, but to actually eat these, which are the behema. And there's certain behemas that you and I are allowed to eat, which they would call tahor. Tahor means purity. Okay. And then they got another one called tame. I think I spelled that. I don't know, tame. Let's just put it like that, tame. So tahor is purity, And tame is impurity. It means unclean. Okay. And then we had our other word today that we learned, which is called shequetz. Okay. Shequetz. Shequetz, again, is an abomination, something that's abhorrent, something which you would call disgusting. Okay. Like idols and like certain foods and everything. Okay. So just a little side piece on that. When we talk about purity and from a holy perspective or a kadosh perspective, they are not able to define Tahor in English to tell you exactly how clean this is or how pure it is. It's a purity that's beyond human understanding. Okay. This is what purity is. It can't be, there's no word in the English language that can actually define it. Okay. So they put purity on it, but that's not really doing it justice. They don't know what to use for it. Okay. That's how different this is. This purity is quite different. So when the Creator's asking us to be pure and to look for those animals that are clean and tahor, it's a different type. There's something else going on besides that which is on the outside of it. You know what I mean? And so he said, and I'll read it again, verse number 1, Wayomer Elohim Totse da haaretz nefesh. Let the earth bring the living creatures according to its kind. We went over this word before, kind, which the root of it is called men, M-E-N, okay? And the men is a mem, a yod, and a noon, okay? Right here, mem, a yod, and a noon, okay? They throw the ah on here. Oh, sorry for it moving. They throw the ah on the end of this word, which is this right here, with a dot in it, to be possessive, letting you know that the actual soul of every living creature is feminine. The soul, after its kind. Okay. So the soul is attached to its kind. Whatever Yah decided for that soul to be and for it to do, it's going to do exactly what it's supposed to be. And that's either a kaya or a behema. Okay. So the behaviors are locked into not only its flesh, okay, but it's locked into its nefesh, okay. And how do you spell the nefesh? N-E-P-H-E-S-H, which is a soul. It means your entire being. That includes your body, that includes your personality, that includes your appetites and your desires. So are all souls alike? No. All souls are not alike. You and I don't have the soul of a Black Panther or a lion or a tiger. We don't have that. Because if we did, we would have the body of a lion or a tiger, or we'd have the body of an ox. We don't have that. We have some similarities in terms of personality, but we don't have the same type of structure. So what Yah's done is he put the appropriate soul of a creature into its appropriate body. Okay. Then once it goes into its body, based on its features and and how it functions, Adam would be able to name those animals according to their character, because the name is the breath of them. So he was able to look at them and focus on them and then name them according to how they function and how they act. Okay. And where would that knowledge come from? Of course, it comes from the Kadosh One, the Creator, who Yah himself had given Adam the ability to do so. Okay. What else do we have here? We have here that the creeping thing that we learned in our Torah portion this week, that Yah says that, things that creep on the ground, you and I are not allowed to eat, except for the things that have joints in what you would call knees, and that can actually bend and they can jump. And the ones who had that was the locust and what they would call the grasshopper. Okay, so there's different species of those, and those are called the remes. I think I talked about this a little bit last week, when I talked about there's 4 different levels of learning, and Remes is one of them. Okay. I think it was the Pashat. The Pashat. What's going on? Pen. And then I think the next one was the
Darash and Sod.
Yep, and Darash. And then the Sod. Yeah. So those are the different, what they would call, I think they have an acronym for it called PRA AD AS Paras or something. They got a little acronym for it, but those are the different levels. But what we talked about is how the creeping thing is the thing that's a little bit underneath the ground. So you don't really see them all the time on top. You may see them just right beneath the surface of the dirt. They're kind of swarming around. Okay. Our next word right here is called, again, if this thing will stop moving, is the same word here called Kaya. Over here, they call it Wakaitho. Okay. And it's a beast. So here they're calling it a beast, and here they're calling it living, but they still have the same numbers, 24:16, 24:16. I can almost guarantee that the actual root of this is Akaya. Okay. It is. They just added letters to it like Wa, and then here's the Ket, the Yod, and the Tav. But you said, well, where's the Tav when the Tav is missing right here? Well, it's a grammatical thing that happens. When you add different letters to a root, it actually will have you change a letter. But that's a whole nother study. But they just added letters to it. So it's the same, okay, as this one. Kaya is the same as Wakaitho. It's just a different way how you conjugate it and how you say it, okay? Both are nouns. But this one here is an adjective, of course, describing the actual nefesh. Okay, so Kaya is a beast. Okay. You already learned about arets, so that's not a problem. And then you already have another one, again, according to its kind, which is the lamino. Excuse me. Or lamina. Lamina. Again, we notice that it's a feminine singular, third person, okay? Feminine singular. When we get into our grammar class, I want to get a little more detail about what all this stuff down here means. I don't want to confuse you. I just want to stay focused. All right, so the creeping things, they have their kind as well, okay? Especially species. And whatever's ascribed to them is ascribed to them. There is no mixing between those things, okay? And one of my favorite words, which I always ask Jared about, and Jared always tells me, I say, how do you say it existed? And what is it?
Haya.
Haya. But you see it has a wa here. So it's wahi. So what they do is when they add any letters to the front of it, it changes things. Letters fall off when letters are added. Just a grammatical thing. If we looked at 1961 right there, it would tell you Haya. And Haya, here it is, Haya. Okay. Haya. To come about, to fall out, to come to pass, to become. This is part of Yahweh's name. Yahweh's name is to exist. And so you got a hey, and then you got a yod, and then you got a hey. That's Haya. Okay. So you put another yod in front of here, it would be Yahaya, but that's not his name. His name is Yahweh. So what's the difference? Well, in the Hebrew, instead of that yod being there, it would actually be replaced with a wa. Okay. So it'll be a yod, hey, wa, hey. Yod, hey, yod, hey. Yeh and Yahweh are essentially, I would say, the same, because what he's telling us is the action of doing and the action of something coming to pass is found in Haya, which those letters are found in the creator's name, meaning to exist, because that's what his name means. So anything that exists in the earth has to do with the creator, the one who made it come to pass. This is what Yah's deal is. He's always telling us, I'm the one who made it come to pass. I'm the creator. You know, I bring forth things. I do that which is, Good. Remember he said yes, sir. Or I create light and I create darkness. Uvarei koshek. And Usay Shalom. I create peace and also create evil. I, Yahweh, do all things. That's what he says in Isaiah chapter number, I think, 45, verse number 6. Okay. Yah does all things. Right? Okay. So I wish this thing would stop moving. Forgive me, guys. It's not me, it's the computer. So all right. After his kind. And it existed what? As we did our Hebrew before, came. Here. That means it was so. Came to pass. Okay. Do you remember what we studied about the Kaf and the Noon? You guys remember me telling you what this word is the root of? What's the root? Well, that is the root, but what word could I take Cain and change it into? That means foundation or to be firm.
It's the palm and the seed.
Yes. It's Kohanim.
Kohen, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So remember I told you it meant so? Well, here it is. That's the root. It means to be firm. He's the base. So what it's saying is after he's done this, Yah said, let it be and let it exist so. So when we talk about let it be so and it existed so, that means that it was set. It was firmed according. This is something that can't be changed. Okay. So it goes back to our study. If there's anything Yah told us not to eat and not to deal with, there's nothing can be changed about that, because when he made the creeping thing, the remes that we have here, he made it so it will be so that it will be firm and it existed as it was supposed to. And there's nothing that can be done about it. Okay. According to its kind. And here we can find in its kind means like there's different types. Like I will let you eat certain types and species of the creeping thing, but let me determine what that is. So when I made all things, which is true, the New Testament tells you I made all things, so therefore all things are good because I'm good. They turned around and twisted who I am. Yeah, I am good, but I also will do terrible. I will bring trouble too. I am Yahweh. And that's what something that Job had to convince his wife about, is that Yah can bring good and Yah can bring also evil. He says, if there's a disaster in a city, who's done it? Is it not I, Yahweh, have brought this about? If there's a sound of the shofar and there's a war, who brought it? Yahweh. If there's a famine, who brought it? Yahweh. If you got swallowed up by a big fish, who brought it? Yahweh. If there was waves in the sea, who brought it? Yahweh. You see? So Yahweh does all things and he allows all things. And whether they appear to be good or bad is indifferent. It doesn't matter because Yah's in charge of everything. And that's what he's trying to get us to understand, even in our reading the Torah and understanding. This is part of the Torah because Yahweh wanted to write and tell us the story behind how he did things. Because he knew that you and I would be around a whole bunch of heathens would start worshiping the things that are made. And they would start bowing down to the creeping things because they liked the way that they maneuver, or they had some type of special way that they moved about in the earth that provided certain things for them. They would venerate the beast, whether it's the behemoth or it's the kaya, the creeping thing, the eagle, the lion, making statues of it and bowing down to it. There's people over in India that worship the cow. You understand? The behemoth. Okay. This is what Yah's talking about. So he's bringing us to the point to let us know that I'm in charge of these things. Remember, the heathen will idolize the things that are made, and he doesn't want to master any of those things. What he'll do is he'll bow down to those things. But you and I, we're supposed to bow down after we master these things and then present them to Yahweh in order for us to have the dominion on why we were created. But the question is where did we get these things? Where did they come from? And again, in context, which I wanted to bring out to you, is everything's coming out of the earth, haaretz. Remember, this is what he said. This was a command. It's a command. It's a justice. It's a type of command. He's speaking, okay, and giving it instructions. And he said, Elohim, what? Totse, haaretz, the nefesh edakaya, the lamina. Okay, so I want the lamina to come out of the earth, right? So that's what he's done. That's the one who's saying it. That's the one who's giving the command. It's a command. Every word that comes out of Yah's mouth is a command. When he talks about go speak to the children of Israel, that's a command. That's an instruction to Moshe. But also it says, and Yahweh said, and Wayomer, that is a command. Because look what follows after he said it. Totse, that's a command to bring forth. And it did. And so he's instructing the earth. So next time you go here and someone wants to tell you that, and he made man in his image and his likeness, you'll be able to tell him, well, I know where it starts. I know where that starts. If you look right here, oh, let it go down. Hopefully it'll go down. There you go. Do you remember what this symbol right here means?
It's the pay, the opening of the mouth.
Yeah, it means the pay, means the opening of the mouth. And I'm going to say something else, which is completely different than everything I just said up here. This right here is the 5th day. That's why it's over. After every one of those days, you're going to get one of these things right here. That means don't try to include this with anything down here. They don't go together. You understand? What I made on the 6th day is what I made on the 6th day. What I did in the 5th day, I did in the 5th day. Don't confuse what I've done. Okay? Don't make up anything. Don't add or take away from anything I said. Verse number 25. I would speed it up a little bit. Now that he spoke, okay, he spoke it, and he's given the command to the earth now has to respond. She is going to have to respond. Okay, so here it is. The noun right here is a retz, and it's a noun, it's a female singular. She is going to respond. He's speaking to her, and she's going to have to do something now. So then it says, and he, it's just said and may, but it really means and he. Somebody tell me what part of this word right here is he? Out of these 4 letters right here, which one represents he?
The yod.
It's the yod. Thank you. Because the yod means he. And the yod also means what? The hand. Okay. That's why the word for yod, it means hand. It starts with a yod. Okay. It means to do work. Okay. So when we're seeing this, Yah doesn't have a anthropomorphic hand, okay? But he's telling us as if he did have one, so we can understand that he made. Verse 25, and he made. With what? When Yah speaks, it's as if Yah's using his hand. That's the trippy part. It's like a thought. He's just putting it out there. And as soon as his words go forward, it's like something is being moved. That's how strong he is. He don't even need to have a hand to make things move. You hear what I just said? To do the work that he needs to do, he don't even need a hand. And the speaking right here in this 3rd person masculine singular is this Elohim right here, which they got masculine plural. But here, the plural doesn't apply because we're not talking about quality. We're talking about, quantity. We're talking about quality. Elohim can be represented by powers. Okay. Plurality of powers. And he says, what is he going to do? This right here is a direct object marker, which is an arrow pointing directly to the very thing, the object of the verb. So he's saying this, and he made, which is the verb, Yahweh Elohim here, eth, the kayoth, okay, the beast. Okay, so he speaks it, and therefore, because he spoke it, he made it. And then now that he made it, it tells you what he made, and he made this right here. This is what these 2 letters right here is an arrow that points you directly to what he's talking about, where the action of what he's doing is upon this. Okay. And where is the beast coming from?
Eretz,
from the, which is the ha. Ha means the, right? Aretz, ha aretz. So he, Elohim, is pointing the arrow of the action directly to the kayath, which is the beast, okay, or the so-called creature of the earth. Of the earth. Okay. That's what we made according to its species. And direct object marker to the ha bahema, to the livestock, after its kind. They're not the same. Okay. And yeth, all call of the remes of the earth. According to his kind. And he saw Wayar, what? He saw that it, oh, what happened? He saw that it was Cain, that it was told, that it was good. Here it is. And he saw that it was Kitov, that it was functional. Okay. Do you see any marks right here to say this is over or ended? You see it, but nothing, right? So they go, so the next thing that's going to be spoken goes along with which was said up here. Okay. Again, verse number 26 says, Wayomer. Wayomer Elohim. Very debatable. But if you know the Hebrew language, then you'll know what it is. He says Elohim, Wayomer Elohim, what? He says, Na-a-say. Na-a-say. We know ase means to make or to do or to, or made, depending on how it's done. Okay. He said, let us make. Question. Who is he talking to about the us? Because the us is represented by this noon right here. That means us. Okay. If it's on the end of a word called nu, then it means we. Okay. So who's the us? Who's he been talking to? It's the earth. It's the earth. That's the us in context. Okay. And it's not a matter of letting us, because this is really a bad translation right here. What it means is that we, okay, asa, anytime you got a letter, just, I don't know if you guys took my class on this, but anytime you have a letter on this added to the front of any Hebrew word, like this word asa, it will tell you that that first letter represents a future tense. It means it will happen, okay? Because it's not perfect. If you can look at the text right here underneath, it says imperfect. Okay, it's a verb. It's a regular standard. It wasn't done with any force or nothing. It wasn't caused or nothing. It wasn't done by itself. It was a very simple action. But the noon right here represents we. They got us, but it's really we. We will do. We will make. And the we that we're talking about is Yahweh and the earth. We will make Adam in our. Remember I told you that it'll be the new on the end. It tells us that this plurality again. Right here, the same one, CP, which is first person common plural, is the same one here, first person common plural. So it means a group, okay? So the same we that's right here, as soon as you take that noon and you put it on the end of a word like Zalmalnu, you would get and this just means an image, it means in the shadow, a type, okay? So remember he says, I need to make all the animals of their kind. They're a species, right? You and I are different in the sense that you and I are not made after a kind of human being. You and I are made in the image, in the Zalme, okay? But Zalmenu, okay, in their image. And their image is in the image of the Creator. Let's see if this pen will work. We're made in the image of Yahweh and the earth. Any questions? Any statements?
No.
Okay. So when people get confused, they don't understand. You can tell them right here when it says us here. Some people say that that's Christ, or some people say, well, that's the angels. He got all kind of other reasons, and that's not the case. Yah, when Yah made humanity, he made humanity in his image, but along with our image, and the image that you and I behold is the image of the earth, and we hold the image of Elohim. And when it talks about it in his image, is the image in which he sees us and how he wants to reflect us in our character. Okay. That's what it is. You and I are supposed to demonstrate the character of Yah in the earth. Every part of our body right now has to do with the earth. Our systems are directly connected to the earth. Directly connected. How can I prove this? Well, the food that you eat, it comes out of the earth. The rain that we get goes down into the earth. The water that you and I drink is on the earth. The herbs that you and I need is on the earth. The meat and the vegetables and the trees are on the earth from the soil. You and I are literally taken from the soil. Okay. Scientifically, Yerder probably knows more about that than I do, is that our body's made of 70% of water. You know, and then they say, well, you got some stardust in you too, right? Some other stuff, but we're directly connected to the earth. And those are the image that you and I are having. So what Yah has done is he said, well, let's make Adam, and Adam does not consist of just a man. This right here is what they will call a false translation. What does the Aleph mean? Since we're on this, what is
Strength.
Okay, so here the Aleph we got to be to strength, right? And it means to be strong. Okay, and the next two letters are called Dam. In Hebrew, Dam. Okay, so we got the Aleph, and then we got the, which is represented by the letter A, which is really not true. Okay, Adam here means blood. Okay. That's what Dam means. Okay, blood means blood, meaning having to do with red. Okay, which we get from Adamah, the color of the dirt. It's a reddish tone. If you look at Dam up, it's red. Okay, like a reddish brown, ruddy. Okay, our blood is red, and this is why they use this word Dam. You got Adam, and then you also have who? Edom. Okay, see that? Who's Edom?
Who's Edom?
Yeah, Edom. Same root that Adam is.
Like the Edomites.
Yes, exactly. So Edom is one, and he came out all red. He was red, right? He was red when he came out. He's red all over his body. Okay, so this is where you get this from. Okay, but it also has the idea of being ruddy, like and reddish. Okay, so those are all the words that surround Adam. Okay, but our understanding for it to be Adam means something not only from just being red in blood, but it means the strength of strong, what? Blood is a fluid, strong liquid, right? So our blood, what's included in our blood? Life. Okay. So it's a strong blood, and the strong blood or the strong fluid for us is red, right? It represents like the ruddiness and the red. Also, too, you can see that our blood carries life in it. That's where the soul is located inside of it. It says when you have life, it's in the blood. So your soul is literally inside. Listen, your blood type, there's all different types of blood. A tiger and a bear don't have the same type of blood type. Every species has its own blood type. You see? And even in humans, you have different types of blood. You got the A positive. You got the what? B negative, I think it is. You got the O, right? You got the AB negative. Okay. You can't give certain blood types to certain people because they won't what? It won't work. So there's the strong blood, the strong life, the strong fluid, but it depends on what's inside of that blood. Okay. What type of life is in it? That's where your oxygen and your breath of your life goes into your blood. This is when Yah would ask for a sacrifice until you splash all the blood around the altar. He's talking about splash their life all around the altar. When I asked you for the offering and asked you to cut his throat and take its blood, and I'm asking you to put it all on the horns of the altar, is because that's where I'm putting the life on there. Life represents blood, and blood is life. I told you not to eat the blood of anything because inside of the blood is life. And it's a different type of life. Okay. So Yah's letting us know that when I made Adam, I made him in a strong blood, and every species has its own blood type. Okay. So blood can't work for me that's working for some other creature. That's what's very unique about our situation. So in our image and like, okay, so ki debamuthenu means to be like me, right? In my likeness, an image and a likeness, okay? So what is Yah's image? That's the question. What is the creator's image? That's where people get caught up. Let's take a look at it and see if it's really an image or that's just an English word for it. Okay. Let's look it up right quick. I think the Hebrew is the most important. Okay. So they got image right here, phantom, likeness. They got all different types of ways. Look, I think probably in, let me see, Talmud. Where's my book? Oh, here it is. Talmud. Do it here. Forgive me, you guys. What do you guys think about that? Because Yah doesn't have an image like we would like to think. Salmo.
Shit.
Huh?
I see a illusion, resemblance.
Yeah. Well, what I like is about it is the shade. Okay. That's what I like about this in particular. It says the unused root meaning to shade, a phantom, not the actual literal one, but a phantom of it, a little, an image that's being projected off as something else. And the idea of one being in darkness and the other one being light, or being the true image of itself. So if you look at anything, everything has a shadow, right? So, but you only can see that shadow when you're looking at what? When there's light. You can only see the shadow of that when there's light on it. Okay. So let me see here. Everything casts a shadow. I have an app that I have, but I don't have it on anywhere else that I need to look at this on a certain phone. Genesis chapter number 1, verse number 26. Okay. Zalmo, Zalem. Okay, Zalem. I'll give the definition here. All right. 2663. 2663. 2663. All right, here we go. All right, can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, so here's this 2663. This is the Hebrew definition of image, okay? So it's called Tselem, okay? And of course, it means image. It means an outline or a representation of an original as a shadow is the outline of the original, as I stated, right? And it means from a dark shadow, a deep, dark place, okay? And then it gives another definition. And it's an adopted root from this in particular root right here, which is Saul, which is a dark shadow of a deep place. The image, again, is a form or an image of something as a shadow, okay? So that's all we have about it. Well, we know that Yah doesn't have a human body, okay? We know that Yah doesn't have a human body. What we do know that Yahweh has is he has a form. Listen to me carefully. Yah has a form, okay? He has a form. And when he would show himself, and he has a form that he can show himself in, that would have an outline of what they would think is like a human body, okay? And I want to show you that right quick. I don't want to just say it. I want to support what I'm saying with scripture, Hebrew scripture. And we'll find that in the book of Ezekiel, chapter number 1. Let's go look at it. In Ezekiel chapter number 1, there was he was sitting by this river, okay? And he goes on to talk about this. But let's just start in verse number 4. He said, I looked and saw a windy storm approaching from the north. Okay. Forgive all the ads. I looked and I saw a windy storm approaching from the north, and a huge cloud with flashing fire was glowing brightly all around with the color of gleaming amber from within the fire. Inside there appeared to be 4 living creatures. Okay. And it says here that they looked like human beings. It's not that they looked like human beings, looked like human beings, these 4 living creatures, okay? But each had 4 faces and 4 wings. Their legs were straight, their feet like calves' hoofs, okay? So that's what their feet look like. Their legs were straight, but they had calves' hoofs on the end. And they glittered like a burnished bronze, okay? And then he says, beneath their wings, they had human hands on their 4 sides. Okay, so they look like humans. This is why he's attributing that to a human. He attributed the legs to be straight and the feet to be like calves' hoofs. And now he's talking about how they had human hands that were on their 4 sides, Okay, so they had 4 living creatures. So each creature had 4 sides. The 4 of them had faces. Okay, and wings. So we're seeing, faces and wings like a bird. They touched one another with their wings. They did not turn when they moved, but each moved straight forward. So there wasn't any turning any degrees. If they moved forward, they were forward. They went backwards, it was back. If it was up, it was up. It was down, it was down. As for the appearance of their faces, they had human faces. Okay. In front, they put that in there. Okay. And each of the 4 had a lion's face. Okay. So all 4 had human faces, and on their face, on one side, they had a lion's face on the right, and they had a bull's face on the left, and they had an eagle's face, okay, near the rear. Okay. So they've already described to us the faces and where they are. If it's on the right, okay, according to, if he was looking towards the east, the right would have been, the face of the lion would be on the south. The bull's face would have been in the north, and the eagle's face would have been towards the west, because that's the rear. Okay. Anytime you look in Hebrew and you're looking to find direction, all you do is face the east, and then wherever your body's positioned, your right hand will tell you that that's south, and your left hand will tell you that that's north. You do it right now. Look towards the east, and then wherever your right hand is, that's the south of east. Okay. And whatever your left is, that's the north, because the left always represents the north, and the face is always towards the east, coming from the east. So the human faces were in front, and the human face was the one that was faced towards the east. Okay. And so as for their wings, they all had what? 2 that stretched. Gotta move my thing right here. That stretched upward and joined those of others, and 2 more that covered their body. So they have 4 wings, and each living creature moved in the direction any of its faces. So if the face in the left was saying, let's go to the left, all of them will go to the left, in whatever direction the spirit wanted to go. So the spirit of these creatures are with them. And so if the spirit wanted to go, they didn't have 4 different separate spirits. They had one spirit with 4 different creatures, and they move whatever direction they wanted. When they went without turning as they moved. So that means they were all in unison and all in cooperation. Thus this was the appearance of the living creatures. With them was something that looked like fiery coals burning the way the torches do. The fire was flashing here and flashing there between the living creatures, fire, right? And the flashing fire and from his, what we would call lightning. Okay. And it was moving here and there. So every time this lightning was just going, so every time he moved it, that's what was going on between these creatures. And he says that the fire had a brilliance out, and out from the fire went lightning. Okay. Okay. So I guess it is fire, flashing of lightning and fire. The living creatures kept speeding here and there like flashes of lightning. So they were just moving real quick. The living creatures kept doing that, right? And as 15, and as I gazed at the living creatures, I saw wheels on the ground, one next to each of the 4 faced living creatures. Then he goes on to tell us what these wheels look like. All 4 wheels look the same. Their inner parts gleam like beryl. That's a certain color like a stone. It's more like a brown gold color. And their structure seemed to be that of a wheel inside of a wheel. And then they moved. They could go in any of the 4 directions without turning as they move. Could be outer space type action, that you usually would see on some of these TikTok videos where things are just moving so quick and fast. The rims were tall and fearsome because the rims of all 4 were full of eyes all around. But I'm going to get to the point about this being that they're going to see. So the living creatures moved, and the wheels moved along with them. When the creatures were lifted up off the ground, the wheels went with them. Wherever the spirit was to go, they went the direction the spirit wanted to go. The wheels were lifted up next to them because of the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. When the living creatures moved, the wheels moved. And when the former stood still, the latter stood still. And when the former was lifted up off the ground, the wheels were lifted up next to them. Okay. Because the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. Over the heads of the living creatures was what appeared to be a dome, a raquia, okay, glittering like ice. It was like ice. It didn't say it was ice. It was like ice. It was awesome. It spread out over their heads above them. So there's this dome over their heads. And under the dome, each had a pair of wings spread out straight of those, and each had a pair which covered his body, going back to the four that they had. So their wings are touching each other. It's giving us an image. I heard the sound of their wings when they moved. It was like the sound of rushing waters, like the voice of Shaddai, very powerful, like the noise of a tumultuous crowd or army. When they stopped, they lowered their wings. Whenever they had a sound from above, there was a sound from above the raquia, the dome over their heads, they stopped and lowered their wings. Okay. The wings that were touching each other, once it stopped, the wings would go down. Okay. Above the dome, there was over their heads was something like a throne. Okay. That looked like a sapphire. That's all he can resemble. It looked like a sapphire stone. It was blue. Okay. And on it and above it was the appearance of to be a person. Okay. To be a person. I saw what looked like gleaming amber colored fire radiating from what appeared to be his waist upward. Downward from what appeared to be his waist, what appeared to be his waist, I saw what looked like fire, giving brilliant light all around him. Okay. This brilliance around him looked like a rainbow. Okay. Not to say that it was a rainbow. It looked like a rainbow. It's not to say that it was his waist. It appeared to be his waist. Okay. So there's a form that he's seen. Okay. And he says the brilliance all around him looked like a rainbow in a cloud on a rainy day. This was how the appearance of the glory of Yahweh looked. When I saw it, I fell on my face and I heard a voice of someone speaking. Okay. I brought you here to show you that Yah's glory has a form that would appear to be like a person. It's an appearance. Doesn't mean it's a person that has the appearance. So there's a frame. There's a form that Yah has. Okay. And this form, but what we do know is that this form is like fire. It's colored fire radiating. So this is something supernatural. Okay. So so now we can see where, when they went up to go see Yah to receive they had the meal with him in Exodus 24. They saw a platform, they saw a pavement of sapphire when they got up there. We also could see why Moshe's face was gleaming and glowing when he came down, because he was in the appearance of Yahweh. He's before Yahweh's face. And therefore he started coming down and glowing. Okay, he was gleaming, right? So Yah has an appearance. All because he has an appearance on a form doesn't make him a human being. So the only image that we ever have describing Yah is this in particular image about his glory, which it seems to appear to be like. Okay. So let's go look at the Hebrew in that and see what the word they use for person. I don't recall what it was, but let's see. Come on. There you go. But also Isaiah had a vision of Yah, and he saw him with a robe on and everything. He saw the robe of his train. That's what he saw. So there's different prophets that see different things, and when they see these things, they're like, okay, how can I describe it? They're describing what they're seeing. Okay. Let me see. 20. Yeah, because that's what it was. Oh, by the way, I'm glad I got this up here. What he saw, listen, what he saw was in a vision. Okay, because oftentimes we like to say, well, how was it that he was able to see Yah's glory without being put to death? Because everybody wasn't able to see his glory sometimes, or see him face to face without, being put to death. He saw him in a vision, just like Isaiah saw him in a vision. When you see Yah in a vision versus seeing him in a reality, he'll give you the vision so you don't have to die. Remember what Isaiah said? He said, well, woe is to me, I have seen the great king. I shouldn't be, I'm going to die. And he said, no, he took the coals off of the altar and he put it on his lips, and boom, he was able to get his sin removed to be able to be there. So where is it at? He stood in the voice, lifted me above the firmament appearance, the heads of stone. And I saw amber color. Okay, let me see. Where's it at? Like a rainbow appearance. Okay. Appearance, it was the color I saw. The appearance of fire. Okay. Oh, here it is. And on the likeness, the Dumuth, and then he said, on the throne was the likeness of the appearance of a man. Right here, Dom. He was like, preposition, not with. That's wrong. This right here, this cough right here, it means like. Doesn't mean that it was like. And it was because of the form that he saw. Okay. So that's the best that you and I can do on terms of his appearance. Okay. Any questions? Pretty interesting, huh?
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah. So in 126, again, we're going back to Genesis. In this day that he's creating this being, okay, he's clothing it with humanity, with that which comes from the earth, just like everything else. The same type of material and substance that the beast came from, okay, is from, the beast and the kaya also have flesh, and they also come from the same thing. They come from the earth, just like we do, okay? And so the image of Yahweh is more or less about his character. It's about his character. It's not about the so-called image, like you and I would think, well, he's a man like us. Yah's not a man. He's not a man. He is not a man. He's told us before. David has said it, you're not a human being. We're not making this palace for human beings. We're making it for the living Elohim. Okay. Yahweh is not human in any sort of way. Yahweh has not, the substance of Yahweh is not made from that which is on the earth. Okay. What else do we have? 26, let us, okay. According to the Dumutha Nimu, okay. And according to our likeness. When he talks about our likeness, he's talking about how, just like the animals receive the body that they need in order to perform the work that they're supposed to perform, everything has a job. Okay. So Yah didn't make everything just to look beautiful. It all functions and all has a job to do. The red mess, the things that are creeping upon the ground, they have jobs that they do, like the ants and the bees. He didn't mention the bees for us not to eat the bees, right? He said, but you shouldn't eat anything with 4 legs, right? Or that hits the ground, right? That's a fly, that's a bee. But can you eat the honey from a bee?
Yes.
Yes, you can. So Yah could take something from something that he doesn't prescribe for you to eat, but whatever they could, the bee is not the one, the honey is not in the bee is the one who makes the honey. Okay. So any part, so that's one of the reasons you said, well, how could he take? How can you take the bee? The bee is not the source of the honey. The bee is just a worker to help bring it about. Okay, with the pollination and all that kind of stuff. But everyone has their job. That's my point. So when he talks about according to their likeness, according to the way that they're supposed to function, everything that we have in terms of our faculties, like our eyes, our ears, our nose, our mouth, our hands, it has a certain function, and it allows us to be able to move around in the environment that Yah had created, and we're from the environment that is the dirt and the water and all those types of things. Yah has taken us of the same substance, and therefore that's why we're able to walk around in it. We can see the things, we function a certain way, and according to the body that we have and the framework that we're in, it allows us to do the function that we're supposed to. Okay, in every type of way, whether it's procreating, whether it's running, whether it's swimming, whether it's using our hands to harvest, whether it's holding, whether it's discipline, whether it's restraint, whether it's building. We're built a certain way, and so we have a whole bunch of things that Yah has given to us and faculties that we are supposed to use in the manner that we're suited for. So when Yah created the whole entire heavens and the earth, he says, okay, I've done this in 6 days, and I've done this, but he's done it through thought, and he's done it through speaking, and he's done it through, he said he made, giving us a picture of, like, it always talks about him having a hand or him having an arm, the arm of Yahweh's salvation. The hand of Yahweh was reached out. I stretched out my hand, all these different types of ideas, but he's just letting us know, well, you know how a hand works. You know where strength is because I gave it to you. I gave it to you so you can understand me better. I gave you the position of being a father because I'm your father, but I'll let you become one so you'll know what that means, to be supportive and to be taken care of and to be a protector. I'll let you become a mother, because Yahweh has been like a mother. He says, I've been like a eagle who protects her chicks. So there's all different things that Yah has given us to understand him. Okay. So you can look at the things that Yahweh has made, and you can get a sense of his power. You can get a sense of his majesty. You can get a sense of why did he give us everything he's given us, and why did he give us these hands and these feet and these knees, and why do our knees bend? And well, like I told you, the knees are bent in order for you to give praise. They're not just bend down to bow down to idols. They're there to bend because he knows you're going to need them, when you go and harvesting. So the way that he made this is like completely perfect. So this is what he's talking about. But also, too, what he wanted to do, I wish this thing would stop, is for him to give us the idea of rulership, which is the word that I want to teach you right here. Okay. And it's called Wayirdu. Okay. But it comes from the word Yarad, or Rada, excuse me. Rada. Rada. And Rada means to have dominion and rulership, to dominate over a certain dominion. Okay. So all of us have a certain dominion that we have. For example, we don't think that we're ruling anything, but that's not true. The first thing that we're supposed to learn how to rule is ourselves. The first place that we occupy is self. We have to learn how to manage that. Okay. Then it goes out to another sphere. And what's that? Oh, that's your home, right? And you have responsibility over governing that. Then it expands outside of your home to outside of your walls of your house. And it goes to other things like in your job and your business and things of those nature. And then if you go on, would depend on what kind of level you get, determines how much leadership you have. Just like the Levites. Yeah, they had the rulership over themselves. Then they have rulership over their houses. And then they have rulership over the whole entire nation. And ultimately, Yah is going to give us Radah, which is to have dominion over the earth. This is the reason why humanity was made, is to rule on the earth. And out of humanity, Yah decided to choose one family to rule all humanity. And that family is our family, is the Hebrew people. That's amazing. Okay. And people don't understand that. They don't understand what Yah's intentions are. Okay. So when we look at how man is made and we understand how we've come together, we also have to understand that the goal is for man to have rulership. All human beings cannot rule at the same time. They need a leader and they need a ruler. And the ruler that Yah has decided to put over them is the children of Israel. We're going to be the chief of nations. We're going to be the ruler over humanity on Yahweh's behalf. We're going to rule this dominion for Yah. Yah has different creatures that rule in certain dominions. There's rulership all over the place. Okay. You can see it, a glimpse of it through our government system and how things are set up in different governments and, judicial branch, the executive branch, and I forgot the other one, but they have all different types of branches of government, all type of leadership positions. And in the military, you got your generals and you go down and then you got your lieutenants and all, you got your captains, your lieutenants and your sergeants. And it's just a whole chain of command. Where do you think they got that from? Who you think gave it to them? The creator has given man the ability to be able to put that. It's an order. Okay. So at the top of the chain, man is at the top of all of Yah's creation. Okay. But within the family of humanity, Yah decided to choose one family, okay, from one man, which is Abraham. They went to his son Yitzchak. He didn't choose Ishmael. He chose Yitzchak. Abraham had asked Yah, why not let Yitzchak rule? He said, no, he'll do his thing, but this other one, this is the one that I choose. I choose Yitzchak. And then Yitzchak had to make a choice. And his mother, Rivka, knew exactly what choice Yah wanted to make, which was, I choose Jacob over Esau. Yah rejected Esau, right? So, and then it goes down from there. And then out of that family, you got the 12 tribes. And out of the 12 tribes, there's a family that Yah chose to say, well, this in particular family is the one that I choose to be this to me, which is the Lavaim, to join the people of Israel to myself. Okay. Because ultimately I'm going to teach them and then they're going to teach others. They're the foundation. There's also within that family another person I'm going to choose. I'm going to choose a family out of another family. I choose the family of Judah to rule for me as my kingship. Out of that whole entire tribe, I chose one family. And that family is through David and his family, his descendants. That's who I chose. Okay. So we can see within creation how Yah has come about doing this. Okay. So in everything, there's a kind and a species, and Israel is a different type. We're a different kind of species of humanity that Yah has called us to be. So that's why the calling is so important and so serious. Okay. So that's as far as I want to go today on this, but I hope you guys were able to gain something out of this. I know we don't have any slides to look at, but it's just to kind of give us an idea of who we are and how we were made. Okay. So we're made in a certain way for a purpose. Okay. And, Yah has his way of doing things. We can question and ask him, well, why this, why that? But he has his purpose and we got to function within that purpose. That's why he's concerned about the way that we eat. That's why he's concerned about the way that we live, what we say, and how we think. We're supposed to be a different type of people. Outside of humanity, we're a special species within that family. That's different. There's only one type of human being, of course, but there's all these different types of families without the human race. So you got the Russians, and you got the Chinese, you got the Germans, you got all the different types of people. You got the Arabs, you got all of them, got all the nations. So out of all the nations, there's only one nation that Yah has decided to have a covenant with in terms of being their Elohim and making it known through them, and that's you and I.
I have a question. Well, maybe a statement. When you consider how stubborn and stiff-necked and arrogant we are as a people, yet Yah chose us, it makes me wonder, would the other nations have been worse than us, or were we the challenge?
No, he told the prophet, I'm going to send you to a people that if I sent you to a people, he said this in Ezekiel. I think it's Ezekiel. It might be Ezekiel or Jeremiah. If I want to send you to a people who didn't understand your speech, they would do what I said. even though they didn't even understand anything you're talking about or
Yeah.
could really understand. He said, but my people, they're worse. My people are worse than anybody. He said, you guys have given up your Elohim and exchanged your glory for nothingness. This is what you guys specialize in. You guys are hard-headed. You are arrogant. But I got to show those things to you. The punishment for us is not only being here, but is being made aware of our guilt. Yah, remember we read today that Yah says, I'm not doing this for your sake. I'm doing this because of who I am. You should be ashamed and dismayed for your ways, O house of Israel. And the reason why he's letting us know this, Akoti, is because his people still to this day are arrogant enough to think that they only got here because of what their ancestors did and nothing that they've done themselves. They're not even ashamed for what their ancestors did. They're just happy to be the people. It's one thing to know that you're the people, but it's another thing to say, hey, look, what we've done is wrong. What we've done is wrong. How we behaved. We have misbehaved. We have acted wickedly. We've done wrong. Terrible things that you and I have done. And we don't see it as terrible because nobody wants to tell us it's terrible. They want us to be friends and they don't want to upset you and I, and they don't want to tell us what it is. That's why a lot of teachers on YouTube and stuff like that, they got thousands of people following them because they're telling them what they want to hear. They're not telling them what Yahweh says.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Sometimes when I think about it, I think about so many years of my life, almost all of them were spent in Christianity. Well, all my life up to a certain point was spent in Christianity. And when I think about that, I was worshiping an idol God. It just really affects me.
Yes. Listen to this. He says, Yahweh bless Yahweh. He said, bless Yahweh, my soul, everything in me. Bless his holy name, his Kadosh name. And he's going to tell you why you should bless him. He said, bless Yahweh, my soul. This is what our soul should be saying. And forget none of his benefits. He forgives all your offenses. What? My soul. He heals all your diseases. Who? My soul. He redeems your life from the pit and surrounds you with grace and compassion. And he contents you with good as long as you live so that your youth is renewed like an eagle. Yahweh brings vindication and justice on all who are oppressed. He made his ways known to Moshe. Interesting. He made his ways known to Moshe in his deeds to the people of Israel. Yahweh is merciful. He's compassionate. He's slow to anger. This is in Exodus chapter 34, verse 6, rich in grace. He will not always accuse. He will not keep his anger forever. He has not treated us as our sins deserve. And that's what gets us. And he's never paid us back. As I've been saying, he hasn't paid us back for our offenses. His soul knew this. When he's saying our offenses, he's talking to his soul. David is addressing his soul to bless Yahweh. And he's showing us what you and I need to do within ourselves. You just said exactly what he said. You said, what is it? I've been doing this for so long. Because Yahweh doesn't hold his anger forever. He has not treated us as our sins deserve. He hasn't fully, what we really deserve is to be wiped out. And because of his mercy, because that's what his name is, I'm the merciful one, I'm compassionate towards those who fear him. That's where mercy's coming in. It's his mercy for us who fear him is as far above heaven as earth. He's removed our sins as far as the east is from the west. That means from the rising of the sun to the going down of the same, Yahweh has removed those sins. And just as a father has compassion on his children, Yahweh has compassion on those who fear him. Nobody else. For he understands how we are made, which we studied just a few moments ago. He understands how we're made. He remembers that we are dust. That's it. Yes, human beings' days are like grass. He sprouts like a flower in the countryside, but when the wind sweeps over, it's gone and his place knows it no more. But the mercy of Yahweh on those who fear him is from eternity past to eternity future. Yah is saying that even my mercy is greater than your life. My mercy is not extended to those who don't fear me. My mercy will continue on from the past, eternity past, to eternity future. For those who fear me. For a Koti Pam who's sitting around saying, man, I was in Christianity for all those years. Your soul shall bless Yahweh because he has not paid us what we deserve.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. And listen, his righteousness extends to his children's children. Whose righteousness? Yahweh's righteousness. Provided that they keep his covenant. So is his righteousness been extended to his children's children? Yes. As he provided that they what? That they keep and guard the covenant. Everybody on Facebook is saying it's done away with. And remember how to follow his precepts. It's all provided. It's always if. Provided they keep his covenant, remember it is to follow his precepts. Yahweh has established his throne in the Shamayim. His kingly power rules everything. Not some things, everything. Bless Yahweh, you Malak of his, you warriors who obey his word, they obey him, who carry out his orders. They even listen what he says. So you and I should do the same. Bless Yahweh, all his troops who serve him and do what he wants. It's about what he wants. It's about his orders. It's about what he said. Bless Yahweh, all his works, everything he created that we read about in Bereshit chapter 1. In every place where he rules, bless Yahweh, my soul. So guess what he's telling everybody? He's telling everybody, just like his soul, we all need to get on the same page. We all got to follow what his orders are and do what he says. And fear him and obey him at his command, because he rules over everything and everybody. You see?
Thank you for that.
Oh, no, thank you. Because he's letting us know I'm in charge. Okay. And you guys need to bless, your soul need to bless me. It's my mercy and my righteousness is extended to your children's children, provided they keep and guard my commandments or my covenant and follow my precepts. It's only if they do that. If they don't do that, they can forget it. That's how it goes. Any more questions or contributions? Thank you guys for coming to class. I enjoyed talking with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I would say to you, Lila Tove, I hope you guys are doing well out there and stay safe. And, get some popcorn because you're going to enjoy the show.
All right.
All right.
Lala Tov.